They say schools never really go silent. Even when the last bell rings and the hall's empty, the walls remember every voice, every laugh, every cry. But this school, the one standing on the edge of town with shattered windows and doors chained shut, doesn't just remember, it repeats. People who've gone inside say they hear footsteps. Not once, not twice, but endlessly, as though the building is alive, walking itself, keeping the memory of every student who never left. The locals call it Hollow Creek High, though the sign out front is so rusted the letters barely hang on. The building is 3 stories tall, its brick walls cracked, ivy creeping up toward the broken clock tower. That clock hasn't moved in over 20 years, stuck at the same moment, 8:15. No one knows why. Some say that was the exact time everything ended. I pushed the heavy gate open, the hinges shrieking like a warning. The yard is overgrown, grass swallowing what used to be the basketball court, the hoops bent and dangling. The air is heavy, still, like even the wind doesn't want to come here. My shoes crunch over the cracked pavement as I approach the main doors. One is locked, the other hanging loose, wood splintered where someone forced their way in. Inside, the smell hits immediately, dampness, mold, dust. My flashlight cuts through the darkness, beams of dust floating like tiny ghosts. Lockers line the hallway, their doors rusted, some hanging open with old notebooks still inside. Names carved into the metal are barely visible, the letters eroded with time. One locker door creaks open as I walk past, even though I never touched it. The floor beneath me groans, the wood swollen from water damage. Every step echoes down the long hallway, bouncing off the walls and ceiling. But then, something strange happens. I stop walking, and the footsteps don't. They keep going. Slow, steady, measured, as if someone else is walking just a few feet behind me. My breath catches in my throat. I swing the flashlight around, the beam cutting through the dark. No one. Just endless rows of lockers and classroom doors, their windows covered in grime. The footsteps fade, leaving the silence even heavier than before. I force myself deeper, pushing open one classroom door. The hinges shriek, echoing down the hall like a scream. Inside, the desks are still arranged in neat rows, though some are overturned, their legs bent. Books are scattered across the floor, their pages yellow and curling. On the chalkboard, faint writing remains, half a sentence about an exam, the chalk frozen mid-word as though the teacher had dropped everything and walked away. The air is colder in here. My flashlight beam sweeps across the room, landing on the back corner. A chair is pulled out, facing the board. Unlike the others, it's clean, free of dust, as if someone had just been sitting there. A sound breaks the silence. A laugh. High-pitched, childlike, echoing faintly from the hall. My heart slams against my ribs. I rush to the door, shining the beam into the corridor. Nothing but shadows stretching long and thin. Then I hear it again, footsteps, running this time, quick and playful, darting from one side of the hall to the other. I move slowly, every nerve in my body on edge. My light catches the edge of another open door, leading into what used to be the library. The shelves are tall, looming, many of them collapsed under the weight of rotting books. Piles of paper litter the ground, words blurred by time and moisture. But the smell here is different, less mold, more something burnt. The edges of some books are singed, blackened. In the center of the library stands a single table, chairs still surrounding it. On the surface, I see words scratched deep into the wood. I brush off the dust with my hand and read. They never left. The letters cut deep, uneven, desperate. My skin crawls. I step back, the beam shaking in my hand, and then the footsteps return, circling the library this time. Not one set, but many. Some light and quick, others heavier, slower, all overlapping until it sounds like a crowd walking in circles around me. My breath fogs in the cold air. I raise the flashlight toward the far end of the library, and that's when I see them. Shadows, faint but unmistakable, slipping between the aisles of books. Too many to count. They don't move like reflections, they move like people. Figures gliding silently, their footsteps echoing even when their forms vanish. The light flickers once, twice, then steadies. The shadows are gone. The footsteps stop. The silence is crushing, and then, out of nowhere, a bell rings. The sound is deafening, metallic, as if the school clock just struck the hour. I look at my watch. It's not the hour. It's not even working. The hands are stuck, unmoving. The bell rings again, and with it comes a rush of footsteps from every direction, stampeding down hallways, slamming through doors, shaking the walls. I cover my ears, stumbling back toward the door, but even then I hear it, my name. Clear, whispered just behind me. I spin, light flashing across the library, but the room is empty. Only the scratched table, only the ruined shelves. The footsteps stop as suddenly as they started. The silence is so sharp it makes my head ring. I back out of the library, stepping into the hallway again. It feels different now, darker, heavier. The walls seem closer, the air colder. And then I realize, the echoes I hear now aren't just footsteps. They're mine. But they're not in sync. I take one step. The echo takes two. I freeze. The echo keeps going. The echo doesn't stop. It walks ahead of me, down the hallway, each step steady, purposeful, as though someone invisible is leading me deeper into the school. My chest tightens, every nerve screaming for me to turn back, but something stronger pulls me forward. Curiosity, dread, or maybe the same force that still powers this place long after it should have been left to rot. I follow the sound, past more classrooms with broken windows and desks covered in dust. One door swings slightly on its hinges as I pass, tapping against the frame with a hollow thud, like a hand knocking gently. I don't stop to check. My flashlight beam bounces across faded bulletin boards still pinned with curling papers. Old announcements, student artwork, photographs. I pause at one, an image of the graduating class, 24 smiling faces beneath a banner that reads, Class of '99. But something about it is wrong. Their faces are clear, but their eyes have been blacked out. Every single one, ink smeared thickly until their sockets are voids. My stomach twists. My fingers brush against the photo, and I realize the ink isn't faded. It's fresh. The footsteps echo louder, dragging me toward the end of the hall where double doors lead into the gymnasium. I push them open, the heavy wood moaning as if it resists me. Inside, the gym is cavernous, the ceiling high, its rafters sagging. The floorboards are warped, but faintly visible under the dust are the painted lines of a basketball court. At the far end, the bleachers sit collapsed, their wood splintered like something crushed them from above. My light sweeps across the court, and I freeze. A basketball lies in the center, untouched, but its surface is too clean, too new for a place abandoned for decades. I take a step forward, and the ball rolls. Slowly at first, then with growing speed, bouncing across the floor. The sound echoes unnaturally loud, each bounce like a hammer striking the walls. It rolls to a stop near the free throw line. The silence stretches, then bang! The ball slams against the far wall, as though hurled by invisible hands. It rebounds across the court, bouncing again and again, faster, harder, until it rockets past me and disappears into the shadows near the bleachers. My hands tremble, my breath ragged. And then I hear them. Cheers. Faint, distant, but real, voices of a crowd. I look up at the bleachers, and for a second, they aren't broken. They're full. Students and parents, cheering, clapping, stomping. The gym alive with noise. But it's only a flash, there and gone in an instant, leaving the rotting wood behind. The footsteps start again, circling me now, heavier than before, as if a dozen unseen players sprint across the court. I stumble back, retreating through the double doors, slamming them shut behind me. The hallway is no better. My flashlight beam flickers, the shadows stretching longer, twisting across the walls. At the far end, I see movement. A figure. It's a student, or at least, it looks like one. Faded uniform, hair hanging limp, face pale and blurred like a smudge on old film. He doesn't walk. He glides, his feet brushing the floor in silence. My throat goes dry. He pauses at a locker, raises a hand, and presses it against the metal. Then he turns his head toward me. The face is gone. No eyes, no mouth, nothing but smooth, pale skin. I stagger back, my light jerking. When I shine it on the spot again, he's gone. The locker door creaks open on its own. Inside is nothing but darkness. The echoes return, louder, relentless. They pull me toward the stairwell at the end of the hall. The steps groan under my weight as I climb to the second floor. The air grows colder with each step, my breath fogging, drifting upward like smoke. At the top, the corridor stretches long and narrow. Doors line both sides, their glass windows shatter. Papers litter the floor, fluttering faintly as though stirred by unseen hands. I pick one up, it's a detention slip, the ink still sharp, the student's name scratched out violently in red. A door slams shut down the hall. The sound reverberates through the building, sharp and final. I raise the flashlight, catching glimpses of chalkboards still covered in equations, desks toppled onto their sides. Another slam. Then another. Doors closing one by one, sealing me in. I break into a run, shoes pounding against the warped floor. The footsteps follow instantly, dozens of them, matching my speed. Not behind me, beside me, around me, above me. The school is alive, racing with me, trapping me in its endless maze. I burst through an open doorway and find myself in the science lab. The counters are cluttered with cracked glass beakers, test tubes filled with murky liquid, metal sink stained black. The smell of chemicals lingers in the air, sharp and acrid. On one wall, a faded safety poster hangs crooked, always wear your goggles. But beneath it, scratched deep into the paint, are different words. Don't look behind you. My blood runs cold. I don't want to turn. Every instinct screams not to. But something moves in the corner of my eye, a shadow creeping across the lab bench, stretching toward me. Slowly, Against my will, I turn my head. Behind me, pressed against the glass window of the lab door, is a face. Pale. Hollow-eyed. Grinning too wide. It slams against the glass once, twice, the sound sharp and violent. I stumble backward, crashing into a table, sending beakers shattering to the floor. When I look again, the window is empty. The echoes don't stop. They fill the lab, circling me like wolves. I cover my ears, but the sound vibrates inside my skull. And beneath the footsteps, I hear something else. A voice. Whispering. Over and over. They're still here. They're still here. They're still here. My hands shake as I back toward the door, desperate to leave, desperate for air. I push into the hall again, the whispers fading but the footsteps still pressing close. At the far end of the hall, a staircase leads up to the third floor. Painted across the wall above it, barely visible in the beam of my light, are words scrawled in red. They never graduated. The echoes surge louder, as if the entire building is alive, waiting, watching. My pulse races as I take the first step up. The staircase groans beneath me as I climb, each step heavier than the last, as though the school itself wants to drag me down. My light shakes in my trembling hand, the beam slicing through thick shadows. The words painted on the wall, "They never graduated," burn into my mind with every step upward. The air grows colder, sharper, until it feels like shards of ice slicing into my skin. By the time I reach the landing, my breath forms clouds that hang in the stillness, refusing to fade. The third floor is different. The walls are darker, streaked with stains that no rain or time could have caused. The windows here are broken too, but their shards have been arranged neatly along the sills, like jagged teeth waiting to bite. I step forward, the floorboards sagging. At once, the footsteps return, not behind me this time, but ahead. Slow, steady, deliberate. They lead me down the hall to the largest door at the end, the old auditorium. I push it open. The hinges screech, loud enough to echo across the empty school. Inside, the room yawns wide, its stage sagging, curtains torn. The rows of seats are mostly intact, but every single one faces me as though the shadows sitting there never left. For a moment, I swear I see them. A full audience, students in their uniforms, teachers at the back, their faces pale and still, watching in silence. The image flickers, fades, and I'm left with nothing but empty, rotting seats. But the air is thick with expectation, as though the show is about to begin. On the stage, a single spotlight clicks on. My heart stops. There's no power here, no reason for any light to work. And yet, the glow is real, pale and cold, illuminating a figure at center stage. It's a girl. Or what's left of one. Her dress is torn, her hair tangled, her face hidden in shadow. She stands perfectly still, head bowed, arms at her sides. Then, slowly, she lifts her head. Her face is cracked porcelain, features broken and uneven, as though smashed and clumsily pieced back together. Her eyes are nothing but empty sockets, deep holes that seem to pull the light into them. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Instead, the footsteps begin again. Louder. Closer. The sound fills the auditorium until it feels like hundreds of people are marching all around me, above me, inside me. My flashlight sputters and dies, leaving only the sickly spotlight. The girl raises an arm and points, not at the audience, not at the seats, but at me. The silence is shattered by a deafening crash. The doors slam shut behind me, the echo booming like thunder. I turn, panicked, racing back to pull them open, but they don't budge. I pound my fists against the wood, screaming, but the footsteps drown everything out. When I turn back to the stage, the girl is gone. The spotlight remains, but it no longer points at the stage. It points at the audience. And the seats are no longer empty. They're filled. Every single one. Students, teachers, parents, all pale, all lifeless, their blackened eyes locked on me. Their mouths open in perfect unison, and the whisper spills out, layered, endless, impossible to ignore. Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us. The sound shakes the walls, rattles the floor, drills into my skull. I stumble back, but the aisles are closing in, the rows of seats stretching forward like the building is rearranging itself. The figures lean closer, their whispers rising to a scream. I bolt for the stage, scrambling up the steps, desperate for an exit. Behind the curtain, a narrow passage leads to the backstage area. The air is suffocating, thick with mold and something metallic. The footsteps follow, pounding, relentless, always just behind me. I throw open a door and find myself in a classroom I hadn't seen before. The desks are arranged neatly, papers stacked, chalk still clinging to the blackboard. For a second, it looks untouched by time. And then the chalk begins to move. Slowly, deliberately, it scrawls across the board without a hand to guide it. You can't leave. I stumble back, knocking over a desk. The room vibrates with the sound of footsteps again, heavier, faster, crashing like a stampede. The windows rattle, the lights flicker, the air pressure crushing me from all sides. I sprint through another door and into the hallway again. The lockers slam open and shut, metal banging like gunfire. Papers swirl around me in a tornado of dust. At the far end, I see the exit sign glowing faintly red. Salvation. I run, legs burning, lungs screaming, but the hall stretches longer with each step. No matter how far I go, the exit doesn't come closer. The whispers chase me, merging into laughter now, cruel and sharp. Then I see them. The faceless student, the cracked porcelain girl, the audience of pale watchers. They're everywhere, standing in every doorway, every corner, filling the hall with their empty stares. I fall to my knees, covering my ears, squeezing my eyes shut. The footsteps thunder around me, shaking the floor, shaking the walls, until it feels like the entire school is collapsing. And then, silence. I open my eyes. I'm at the entrance again, standing in the foyer where it all began. The doors are in front of me, unlocked, slightly open, moonlight spilling through. I don't think. I run. I crash through the doors, stumbling out into the night air. The cold wind hits my face, sharp and real. My lungs ache as I gulp it down, desperate, alive. Behind me, the school looms, dark and silent. For the first time, I can hear my own heartbeat again. No footsteps. No whispers. Just the night. I step back, my hands still shaking, my body still trembling. The windows of the school stare back at me like hundreds of watching eyes. And just as I turn to leave, I hear it. One last footstep. Right behind me. And if this story sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that take you where shadows live and whispers never die.